Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Ash Talks Ball. Thanks again for all the love and support on the previous videos. I didn't know what to expect when I was getting into this project, but I'm having so much fun talking, making the videos, reading the comments. It's a lot more fun than I thought it could be, so I'm just going to keep talking ball. We're nearly at the start of the championship season now, only just under 2 weeks away, so the prediction videos are what I'm really excited for, and to really dig into the matchups and make some predictions. They're coming at the end of next week for game week 1, so look out for them. Might be another video beforehand, might be my first NCAA video before that as well. We'll see how we go. But I've got a good one for you today. Today is going to be a 26-27 EFL Championship Dream Team, or if any American sports fans are watching, an all-championship team, if you will. But this one's going to have a little caveat. I made it a bit more interesting for myself. I'm only allowed to pick one player from every team. That really did make it such a fun exercise for me. I sat down and it really did have so many permutations of who you really needed in the team, and that meant other players were disqualified from the exercise. So I think I've got some interesting players there, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking to you about these players. I'll go through some of the honourable mentions as well to see who just missed out. I went with a standard 4-2-3-1, but a lot of different formations could be really interesting for this exercise. 3 centre-backs could be super interesting. There's a lot of good centre-backs in the Championship this year. The number 10 position, there's a couple of interesting names. Obviously, I could only go for one. So this is going to be it was a real fun exercise for me. Go ahead and do the same for you. I think we could come up with really different lists, which is the real fun thing. We can only have one West Ham player, one Wolves player, etc., etc. It's a real fun exercise. So let me know in the comments what you got up to. But this is Ash Talks Ball 26-27 Championship Dream Team, where I can only have one from each club. Let's get into it. Just a couple of other disclaimers before we get into the list. I'm not going to include players who I believe are likely to get a Premier League move this season. So we'll get into some examples of that when I get into it. But one example off the top of my head is Shay Charles. I think he's probably almost certain going to get a Premiership move, so he will not be on the list. That's one disclaimer. Another disclaimer is this isn't going to be the players who I think are going to end up in the Championship team of the season. These are the players that I'll take right now if I was building my squad, obviously under the one rule that I can only have one from each club. Hopefully I explained that okay. I did do a lot of tossing and turning in my head to try and figure out how to word it. But these are the players I'll take right now if I was going to make a matchday squad of an all-star team of the Championship. So hopefully that clears that up, and let's get back into the picks. So we'll start off in goal, and I think this was a relatively easy one. I think there's a pretty clear best goalkeeper in the Championship this season, and that is Daniel Peretz from Southampton. In the second half of last season, he was the best goalkeeper in the division. Obviously Rushworth fully deserved the award for the team season, and he was the best goalkeeper throughout the season. Won the Golden Glove. He's going to get his big money move to Coventry. But Daniel Peretz was fantastic in the second half of the season, and it's no coincidence that Southampton's form really did take an upturn when they did have that base and just real fantastic goalkeeping. He's a really good shot stopper. He's good enough with his feet. So this was a pretty easy decision for me. Honourable mentions, number 2 probably would have been Victor Johansson at Stoke. He has been a real good keeper in this division for a good few seasons now, and I am surprised he hasn't got his opportunity in the Premiership. If Peretz didn't make that transfer permanent to Southampton, Johansson would have been my choice. Another honourable mention probably would have been Zetterstrom from Derby. He probably would have been number 3, him or Hermansen from West Ham. It was a pretty easy decision to take Peretz as my goalkeeper in this team. Now obviously that means that Southampton is now on the list for any future positions. That means no Taylor Harwood-Bellis, who would have been in consideration for centre-back. No Shay Charles. It means I couldn't have Cienza, who was another one who I think could get a move, but that has gone quiet, but he is off the picture. And the big one that might well have made my team was the number 10 position with Finn Azaz. I think he's probably the best number 10 in the division, out and out. He is an absolute numbers machine. He will get goals and assists in this division. And if Southampton do end up getting promoted, I think he will play a major part in that. But obviously, I think Peretz is just a step above in keeper that I really needed him in my team. And that means Azaz is going to miss out. So like I say, the one per club rule does lead to some interesting permutations. And it did make this exercise a lot more exciting. And you can see that from pick number 1. So Peretz is the goalkeeper, and we'll move on now to the back four. Right back is a super interesting one. There's some big names in the division now. Obviously, with Kieran Trippier coming in, he would be a shout here. But I had someone in mind for my Wolves player that I just couldn't leave out of the team, so I couldn't go for Trippier. The other honourable mention would be Callum Britton at Middlesbrough. But again, there's a lot of Middlesbrough choices to be made, so we'll be getting to Middlesbrough shortly. So the right back I've gone for is actually Ryan Alabiasu from Blackburn. Obviously, Blackburn are not going to be fancy to do anything special in the division this season. In my prediction video earlier on, my first video, I did have Blackburn to get relegated. But Alabiasu is a really exciting fullback. Likes to get forward, but he's no slouch defensively. He is definitely Blackburn's biggest asset right now, I believe. I'm kind of shocked that there hasn't been more steam for him to get a move up. Maybe it's a bit soon for a Premiership move, but towards the top end of the Championship, I think would be a totally reasonable move for him. So he was a pretty comfortable one for me. I think the two best right backs of the division are him and Kieran Trippier. So that's who it was between. But once again, I had to use my wall spots elsewhere. So Alabiasu is going to be the right back. I think he'll be a huge bright spot. And I think when the time does come, and maybe it will be this window, maybe the interest is going to come late, he'll make Blackburn a lot of money. So we'll go with Alabiasu at right back, and we'll move on to the centre-backs. Like I said in the intro, the centre-back is a real strong position in the Championship this year. This one probably took the most thought for the two centre-backs. If I did go a different formation and go three at the back, I think this would be a super strong team as well. So we'll start off with the first centre-back, and that's Tristan Kramer from Millwall. I think he's just a real Rolls Royce of the centre-back for this division. Millwall was always going to be a real strong defensive team, and he was the linchpin to that last season. I would expect him to get a Premiership move, but again, I've heard no steam into that. So I felt safe and confident putting him on this list. He's going to be probably the best centre-back in the Championship this season, I believe. Millwall could sell him for a big profit. They got a real good deal from Brentford. Again, Millwall's recruitment has been top-notch the last couple of years, which is why I have so much faith in them to continue their progress this season. Kramer's a big part of that. He's going to be the rock at the back there. They've got Cooper next to him. They've signed Elkan Baggett from Ipswich. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, but Kramer's going to be the rock of the defence. So he was a pretty easy selection for me for CB1. Obviously, this means that Femi Aziz cannot be in the team, but he probably wasn't going to be the right winger anyway, and we will get to that shortly. But Kramer, CB1, not really any doubt there. On to CB2. The second centre-back could have been a few different people. Honourable mentions, obviously I couldn't have Harwood Bellis because I already had Peretz in goal. Cordoba at Norwich would have easily fit into this team, and if I went three at the back, three centre-backs, I think he probably would be the third. But in the end, I went for Callum Doyle at Wrexham. A fantastic ball-playing centre-back, really dominant in the air. He had such a productive season for Wrexham last season. He was definitely one of their better businesses. Again, I thought there'd be more noise for him to get a move to the Premiership this season. I think he's too good for the Championship, along with Kramer. Haven't heard any of that noise, so it looks like he's going to be at Wrexham next season, and he is going to be a rock for them. Big season coming up for Wrexham. I'm not quite sure if they're going to bring in someone new next to them, but Doyle is such a fantastic young building block for a team like Wrexham in the Championship who are looking to build. Fantastic with the ball at his feet, fantastic in the air. He is pretty much for the Championship a pretty all-round package who I think should be playing in the Premiership. Obviously, with Doyle being in the team, that means there's going to be no Josh Windass, who would have been a contender at the number 10 position. But I think Doyle is just too good of a centre-back for this level not to make this team. Left back was one of the more cut and dry ones of the video. Not many honourable mentions. There's not really many star left backs. You've got Juff at West Ham, but my West Ham place was always going to go to someone else who I'm sure you can all guess. Harrison Burrows at Sheffield United was also probably second on the list at that point. A real young attacking left back with a real good left foot. I think he's destined probably to play in the Premier League one day, but he's not going to be there yet. So the left back I went for was the safe option, the player who made the Championship team of the season last season, and that's Josh Tymon at Swansea. Real good left foot, real productive last season at Swansea, really deserved to be team of the season. Not really anyone in contention for me, so that was a pretty safe bet from the committee. That does use up my Swansea selection, and Zamfir Potnik is still a Swansea player at the time of recording. Latest reports is that he might get a move elsewhere in the Championship, so maybe I could have used Verpotnik anyway. I did kind of go under the assumption that Vopotnik would get a move, so he wasn't really going to be wasn't going to be part of this video. The fact that I needed Timon for left back made the decision a lot easier. But Vopotnik, obviously, if he does stay, would be deserving of this list. But we're going to go for Josh Timon, left back for Swansea, as my left back in this EFL Championship Dream Team, which makes the back four of Alibiasu, Kramer, Doyle and Timon. Let me know what you think about that. I think the defence was a real interesting part of this video. Looking forward to see who you all guys have in the comments, but I'm pretty happy with that back four. Quite a mix of different names there, and obviously different clubs, because that is the game. So that's the defence. Let's move on to midfield. So the two holding midfielders, so the two central pivots in this 4-2-3-1. First off, we're going to go to one of the first names that made the list when I come up with this video idea. Pretty much the second name on the list was Andre at Wolves. Crazy statement of intent to keep him for the Championship season. He is definitely way above the Championship. He should run pretty much most midfield he's going to come up against. The more interesting part is obviously this takes away the Wolves angle. We spoke about that with Trippier, but it also takes it away with Raul Jimenez, who would have been a huge shout for my striker position. Another fantastic addition for Wolves, who should be one of the premier strikers in the division. Not quite sure how many minutes Jimenez will play, but obviously we saw him as an out-and-out starter for Fulham, really effective. Saw him as an out-and-out starter for Mexico at the World Cup, super effective. Just look at that England game. For the first half especially, the England centre-backs had real trouble dealing with Jimenez. So he would easily be in contention to make this list. But Andre is just going to be cream of the crop in the midfield, I think, and he was impossible to leave off this list. And partnering him in midfield was more of a tough one. I was looking at City Peck at Sheffield United, but decided to go elsewhere. Ethan Galbraith just got his move to Stoke. If he'd have stayed at Swansea where it was a bit more known, maybe he would have been in contention. But then obviously I used Josh Timon, so maybe not. So in the end, I went with Aidan Morris at Middlesbrough. Really, really strong season for Morris in the Championship last season when he was with Hackney. They were clearly the best midfield duo in the Championship. If Hackney didn't get injured, I'm pretty sure Middlesbrough would have got top two, and Morris was a big part of that. So Morris will be a huge driving force to Middlesbrough in their promotion push this season. Obviously, I've got high hopes for Middlesbrough. I think they've got a real good shot at promotion. This takes Middlesbrough off the list for other potential players. I forgot to mention previously that Malander might have been one of my starting centre backs. Absolute class of centre back. He's so good with the ball. He plays midfield for Middlesbrough a lot. So Malander would have been in consideration for centre back. And if I did go 3 at the back, it would have been a huge decision between him and Cordoba at Norwich. So sorry I didn't give Malander his flowers during the centre back portion, but there he is. But Moss is going to get my Middlesbrough spot, and I'm pretty happy with those midfield too. Moving on to the attacking part of the field and the three behind the striker. We'll start on the right because that's probably the most obvious one in this video and in this exercise. Right wing would be Jared Bowen. He's probably the best player to play in the Championship for, I'm trying to think, in my lifetime, one of them. I've always said that so far in my Championship watching experience that the best player who I could not believe played in the Championship was Ruben Neves when he signed for Wolves permanently. When Nuno was the manager and they won the league, you could just tell he was a different player. You could not believe he was in the Championship. Obviously, they paid a huge fee back then. I think it was like 12, 13, 14 million back in the day. And at that point, that was an insane fee in the Championship. Nowadays, you see those pretty often, but he should not have played in the Championship, and he's gone on to prove in his career that he shouldn't have done. Bowen is going to be exactly like that. Bowen is way too good for this division. Fair play to him for staying at West Ham. He's their captain. He wants to get them back into the Premiership. So fair play. He should dominate this division, and West Ham should win the division at a canter, and Bowen should score and assist plenty. So if you do play the EFL fantasy game, Bowen is probably going to be amazingly expensive, but he'll probably still be worth it. But Bowen was a no-brainer here for my right wing spot. Femi Aziz also would have been the next one on the list probably, but I was always going to use Kramer for my centre-back. So that was never really an option. It was always going to be Bowen. But that does knock off West Ham for any other options. I mentioned Juve earlier at left-back. There could have been Hermansen in goal. There could have been Kilman or Mavropanos at centre-back. Castellanos up front would have also been an amazing option. Striker was a real difficult one. But Bowen was probably the easiest selection in this video, and he should absolutely rip up the championship this season. The number 10 role, playing just behind the striker. This was a tough one. Obviously, I couldn't use Aziz because I had Peret straight away in goal. But the person I've gone to play the number 10 just behind the striker in this team is Ian Fleming from Burnley. Another one who I thought probably should get a Premier League move. He proved he can play in the Premiership last season with a really efficient and effective season for a real poor Burnley side. He deserves to play in the Premiership. Why he hasn't got a move so far, I don't know. He was linked with Brentford at the start of the window, just didn't materialise. As my team is Town, we could really use him. I'd be very happy if we signed Ian Fleming. But Fleming is a classy operator, especially at this level. He should have a really effective season again for Burnley if he does stay. Probably the riskiest one of the video of that they do get a move out of the Championship and move back up to the Premiership. But Fleming had to be in this team really. And I'll put him in at number 10. There was a striker who I had in mind to get in, who I've managed to get in. So he'll be playing behind him. But Fleming should be guaranteed goals and assists at the level. And he'll be the main driving force if Burnley are going to make an instant return back to the Premiership. Left wing was really down to 2 players for me. The first one who I couldn't really use for multiple reasons was Leo Cienza at Southampton. Obviously, Peret was in goal, so I couldn't use him there. But also, Cienza should really get a Premier League move or a move to Europe in one of the top 5 leagues. He's too good for the Championship. He was absolutely fantastic for Southampton last season. And again, I'm really shocked that I haven't heard more transfer rumours for him to leave Southampton. But because of that, I've had to go for Sorba Thomas. Sorba Thomas at Stoke, still at Stoke. Will he stay at Stoke? That is the question. But the main transfer rumour for him has been West Ham. So that'll be my little loophole, is that he's not being transferred out of the Championship, more than likely. But it could be to someone, so West Ham have both wingers on this video. Sorba Thomas had such a great start to the season last season at Stoke. Did tail off towards the end, but his numbers for the season were fantastic. Deserves to get a move. Will he get a move to the Premiership? Looking unlikely at the moment, but there's still a month left of the window, so it definitely could happen. And I think he could do it in the Premiership, but I think another season at the top end Championship could do him the world of good. If that is for West Ham, then great. I think he'll do amazing there with him on one side and Bowen on the other. If it's with Stoke, then I think that could work too. Stoke, obviously, I had not having a great season, but Thomas can always be a bright spark, and Stoke are investing. So Thomas is the left wing for the front. So the 3 behind the striker is Bowen, Fleming, Thomas. Feel really good about those 3, and they'll be playing behind the striker. And finishing up with the striker in this 4-2-3-1 pre-season all-championship team for me is Mo Toure at Norwich. A few decent options. Obviously, we spoke about Potnik earlier. We spoke about Jimenez earlier. I've put Fleming behind him just in the number 10. Castellanos was at West Ham, so I could never use him because I was going to use Bowen. But obviously, Toure ripped the division apart in the second half of the season. His goals per minute rate was pretty incredible, just to say the least. As an Ipswich fan, when we played them at Carrow Road in April, I was very happy to see that he was on the bench and he did not start that game. So I think that made Ipswich's life a bit easier. Obviously, it's going to be really difficult to keep up that momentum, that level of scoring. But I think not. But if Norwich are going to be as good as I think they are, then he'll get plenty of opportunities. And he has proved he is a classy finisher. He's in the right position, and it could be a huge season. And if Norwich are going to fulfil this potential, I think Toure would have had a great season. So I'm pretty happy with this striker pick. I think he rounds out the team really nicely. I think there's a really good balance in this team. I don't think there's too many players who might leave. There's 1 or 2. It was pretty impossible to do otherwise, but Toure rounds it up as my striker in this team. So that is my pre-season EFL Championship 26-27 Dream Team as we stand right now. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you get your teams in the comments. Remember, only 1 player per team. That really improved the exercise. I did start this exercise doing just a normal pre-season Dream Team, but I decided to change that up, and I'm really happy I did because I had a lot of fun putting this list together. So let me know what you think. Look out for more videos in the next week. Like I said, there's going to be prediction videos starting next week, which I'm super hyped about. And I'm really enjoying putting these videos together for you. So thanks again for talking ball with me, and I'll see you next time.